The story of Din Ka Badshah, the King of 3 Days, is one that beautifully captures the essence of patience, faith, and divine destiny. It is a tale that reminds us that power, wealth, and position are temporary, but trust in Allah and the strength of one's character are eternal. The story begins in the kingdom of Yaman, where a humble and righteous man lives his life with honesty and devotion. Though he has very little, he never loses hope in Allah's plan. His heart is pure and his faith unshakable. He often prays for justice and mercy, not just for himself but for everyone around him. In contrast, the ruling king of Yaman is powerful and wealthy, but proud and arrogant. He believes that his throne and his might will last forever. Yet destiny has its own design. One night, the king sees a strange dream that shakes him to his core. In the dream, a voice tells him that his reign is ending, and another man, a simple commoner, will rule the kingdom, but only for 3 days. The king wakes up in fear, realizing that no earthly power can challenge the will of the Almighty. The next day, as fate unfolds, the humble man is called to the palace. He cannot believe his ears when he is told that he has been chosen to be king. People laugh at the idea, but the royal ministers confirm that this is the command of destiny. The humble man becomes the king for 3 days. When he sits on the throne, he does not celebrate his sudden rise to power. Instead, he bows his head and prays. He uses his short reign not to gather wealth or enjoy luxury, but to serve the poor, forgive debts, and bring justice to those who have been wronged. Every decision he makes reflects his deep trust in Allah and his compassion for people. On the second day, he continues his mission of fairness and mercy. The citizens of Yaman are astonished by the new ruler's humility and kindness. They see in him what true leadership means, not arrogance, but service, not power, but purpose. When the third day arrives, he knows his time is about to end. He gathers his people and reminds them that everything in life is temporary. Titles, crowns, and thrones fade away, but good deeds and faith remain forever. That night, as foretold, his rule ends, and he returns to his simple life, content and grateful. The story of the King of 3 Days teaches a powerful lesson. It shows that real greatness lies not in how long we hold power, but in how we use it. The man's faith and humility turned even 3 short days into a legacy that lasted for generations. His example proves that when a person puts complete trust in Allah, miracles can happen, and even the impossible can become reality. It is a timeless reminder that no matter how small or powerless we may feel, Allah can lift anyone to honor and bring down the proud in a moment. True kingship does not come from a crown. It comes from the purity of the heart and the strength of belief. And so, Din Ka Badshah is not just a story about a man who became king for a short while. It is a reflection of life itself, where every moment is borrowed, and every blessing is a test of gratitude and faith. As the humble man returned to his ordinary life after ruling for 3 days, his heart was not filled with regret or sadness. Instead, it was filled with peace, the kind of peace that only comes from understanding Allah's wisdom. He had seen with his own eyes how quickly power can rise and fall, and how the world changes in the blink of an eye. When people from the kingdom came to visit him, they asked how it felt to be a king, even if only for a short time. He smiled gently and said, "The throne taught me that nothing belongs to us. Not the gold, not the palace, not even the breath we take. All of it belongs to Allah, and He gives and takes as He wills." His words spread throughout Yaman, and many hearts softened. People began to look at life differently. They started realizing that real richness is not in treasures, but in gratitude and faith. Over time, stories of those 3 days became famous in every corner of the land. The scholars and wise men of Yaman began teaching children about the king who ruled for only 3 days but left behind lessons that would last forever. Merchants told his story in marketplaces. Travelers shared it in distant cities, and imams mentioned it in their sermons. The name of the 3-day king became a symbol of humility and devotion. Years later, When the arrogant king who once ruled with pride was no longer remembered with love, people still spoke with respect and admiration about the man, who ruled only briefly, but ruled with justice. It was said that even the rulers who came after tried to follow his example, treating their subjects with more kindness and remembering that their power was a trust, not a possession. One evening, as the former king sat outside his small home, watching the sunset, a group of children approached him. They asked him, "Tell us, how did you stay so calm when you knew your kingship would last only 3 days?" He looked at them with warmth and replied, "Because I never saw myself as a king. I saw myself as a servant of Allah and of His people. The throne was not a gift, it was a test. And when the test ends, you return to where you belong, in humility, before your Creator." Those simple words left a deep mark on everyone who heard them. The children grew up carrying that lesson in their hearts, teaching their own children to live with patience, honesty, and trust in Allah. Generations passed, but the story never faded. It became part of Yaman's soul, a living reminder that faith can turn even the smallest. And so, the man who ruled for only 3 days continued to rule in the hearts of people for centuries. His kingdom was not made of gold or stone, but of faith, truth, and gratitude. His legacy lived on through every act of kindness, every prayer whispered in hardship, and every person who placed their trust in Allah without fear. The story of Din Ka Badshah reminds us that our time in this world, no matter how long, is like those 3 days. What truly matters is how we use it, whether we spend it chasing worldly crowns or earning eternal peace. Because in the end, all thrones crumble, but the throne of faith remains forever. As time moved on, the humble man grew older, but his wisdom grew even deeper. The people of Yaman never stopped visiting him. They would come from faraway villages just to hear him speak a few words, because every sentence he said felt like a drop of light entering their hearts. He never called himself a scholar, nor did he seek fame. When asked how he had gained such understanding, he would simply smile and say, "When a person truly trusts Allah, Allah opens the eyes,